I'll say it's good.
Max Fleischer was my grandfather, and in a way I was never introduced to them. They were always there. We always knew that Papa Max drew funny stuff, and he would send us. He lived in New York, and we lived in California and then Europe. So growing up, we were far apart. But he would always send these kind of very funny, humorous drawings about things. Our family dog broke his tail at one point, and he drew a picture of Harry the dog with his tail in a cast and then kind of a funny device to hold the cast while he trotted. It was just crazy stuff.
I'm Humpty Dumpty, king of wealth. This wall of gold is my throne. I'll build it high till it reaches the sky. This gold is all my own. The more I have, the more I want.
He was just Pop Max. It wasn't anything special when I was growing up. When I did see him, he was a really gentle person. He loved his kids and his grandkids. He was very caring. They moved to California when I was about 14, my grandparents did. And by that time he had some dementia, but he had such a spirit. He was so caring and so gentle that he was just a lovely person. Growing up as a kid, he was fascinated both with art, which he was quite good at, obviously, but also machines. And industry, and how did things work, and why did they work that way? And he was always, some of his earliest drawings that we have from when he was a boy were of the mechanical things around him.
You wait here. I'll phone this in. Yes, I'll give you the details later, Chief. All right, Lois. Lois! This is a job for Superman.
He was really, more than anything, an inventor at heart. And then when he went out to get his first job, which was with the Daily Eagle, he wanted to be part of the newspaper and part of the comic strip thing. He actually offered to pay them to work there. And they kindly refused, and they actually hired him at like $5 a week or something like that. And he worked his way up from there. What got him, I think, into animation more than anything else was he went to see the movies one night, and there was some animation that was going on, and his boss and his boss's wife were there. And the boss's wife said, "God, I hate that stuff. It's so it's herky-jerky. Everything moves like so statically." And the boss turned to Max and said, "Well, you're a smart young guy. Can't you do something about that?" And that kind of brought everything together for him, because it was both technology, how do I make this work, and then art. And that's what started him on inventing the rotoscope.
More than 250,000 paintings like these were created by Walt Disney and his staff of artists to make the most daring adventure in the history of motion pictures.
It was definitely a competition. Max, I think, predates Walt a little bit in terms of when he got his start. Max's studio was in New York, and of course, Walt Disney was in wonderful, nice, warm, great climate California. And Walt had people stand outside Max's studio in winter as people were going out on lunch break and saying, "Hey, wouldn't you rather live in California?" And he hired away Max's animators, so that a lot of them ended up in California, working for Disney. The competition was stiff. I know that for instance, with creating the first feature, Max desperately wanted to do that. And he kept asking Paramount to fund it. And Paramount said, "I just don't see a future in feature-length animation. That's never going to work." So Max actually created the first color Popeye cartoons, which were about 17 minutes in length. And I think those were the longest cartoons to date at that time. And then, of course, Walt Disney came out with their first feature, and Paramount saw what the box office did, and they reversed course. And told Max to start seeing what he could come up with, and that led to Gulliver's Travels. Max used to say that if you could do it in real life, it wasn't animation. And that's really what led him, was, to take things to their surrealist or humorous extreme. And I like to think that maybe had he got there first, we might have seen some animation, especially in the 60s and 70s when things got kind of stale, that were more creative, more artistic, and that animation might have been seen more broadly for the art that it really is.
Why don't you eat? Why don't you eat? Just tell me once. Why you don't eat your Hasselpfeffer, eh?
Don't you saubraten Betty?
And when I must once more tell you to eat, then I will right away send you out from the house out. That's all. You hear? I won't have it. I won't have it. You go to school in the morning and you stay there all day in my card and you study hard and you come home and you won't get
Oh, come on, Betty.
I say, what is this? What is this? I won't have it. I won't have it. Why did you say something? Why did you say something? And why your father is not?
I think that was kind of par for the course for what they did at that time. That was right kind of at the height of the studio's really freedom to be creative and crazy. I believe it was pre-code. Once the Breen Code, or the Hays Code as it's more popularly known as, got enforced, everything toned down. And that really changed things. But back in those days, before the code, they were a wild bunch of guys who, and some women, who loved what they did. And they, a lot of it, they played jokes on each other. They made crazy Christmas cards for each other. So I think this was pretty par for the course of just, okay, what can we get Bimbo to do now? Living in New York and living in Manhattan and being surrounded by the culture then and the jazz culture then, I know Max loved the theater. And he used to take my father to it when my father was a boy and explain what was going on and how things were working.
She messed around with a bloke named Smokey. She loved him though he was cocky. He took her down to Chinatown. He showed her how to kick the gong around. Showed her how to kick the gong.
And then Max's brother Lou Fleischer was he became the head of music, the music department. And he was very involved with the music scene. So I think he brought in a lot of the jazz that was going on at the time. And I think they were just, it's a lot like music videos today where people just pick out the music they like and then they create some visuals to go around it. It was what was at hand at the time and what they loved.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No. There's the way out.
Also in the early cartoons, in the Out of the Inkwells and Inkwell Imps, a lot of them feature my grandfather. So I get to see my grandfather from like 1920 to 1929 interacting with Coco the Clown. And they were mean to each other. they took great glee in tormenting each other and seeing what they could do to torture each other. It's really fun.